So for today's video I'm going to be sort of doing an overview of this Sony VAIO that I have. This is an SVE series VAIO. So it was one of the mid-range VAIOs from Sony at around about the early 2010s. So this is what that looks like. And yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look around, see what ports it has, the I/O. So at this side we have 3 USB 2.0 ports there and a DVD drive. On the back, not much. It's not in the best condition. There's like a thing missing that covers the hinge. See, there's one there. But on this side we have power, Ethernet, VGA, HDMI, USB 3.0. So this is quite one of the later revisions because it has USB 3.0 and also a headphone and, well, microphone headphone. Okay. So, and on the front we have Sony's memory stick, Pro Duo card slot and normal SD card, and a row of indicator lights. Okay, opening up the laptop, we have a nice big screen. So this is a TM panel. You can tell because the pixels are translucent on TM panels when it's inactive, whereas IPS it's black. And you can also tell it's a later revision because it has the newer style Windows logo, which is like the Windows 10 and Windows 8 logo. And you have a trackpad and there's a crack there, which, as I said, this isn't in the best condition. So we'll go over the specs it has. So it has a Intel Core i3, I think it's the 3120M, and it originally had 4 gigs of RAM. I've upgraded it to 8, as you may have known because I've done a video on this before, but not a complete overview. And it did have an SSD in it, but now that's in my main machine, so I actually put the original hard drive back in it and did a fresh install of Windows. What version of Windows have I put on it? Well, you'll see when I turn it on. So yeah, it's got a chiclet keyboard, not the older style ones that older laptops had at that time, because it was a high-end laptop. They did have this style of keyboard, but this isn't one of the sort of top-end models of the SVE series, because the top of the range models had a backlit keyboard. This doesn't have a backlit keyboard. So I'm going to turn it on now and we'll see it boot up. It still has its original battery, which I don't know how long it lasted. I think it'll last about half an hour on a single charge now, running continuously. And as you can see, I've installed Windows 7 on it. Well, actually my friend installed Windows 7 on it. You know the one. So the cable here, which is provided, I have that here just in case it does run out of power. I have tried to track down some of the original VAIO software that would have come with this, but I've been unlucky so far, but I did manage to source some of the original VAIO wallpapers that would have been on this. You can see it's booted up now. Very nice Windows 7 install. And yes. Wait for everything to load. We have I've decided to have the CPU monitoring here and memory, even though there's like 8 gigs of RAM, which is pretty good for a Windows system like this. So if we go into the I think it was My Computer Properties where you can see like the Windows Experience score. There we are. So this is, so it has the specs here. Intel Core i3 3120M at 2.50 GHz. So not as fast as my Core i5 in my main system. And yes, it is complaining that the battery is degrading. It says consider replacing your battery. So yes. And if we have a look at the score, it actually scored a very good 5.9, which is pretty good. So yeah. And and by the way, here's a random thing I did in Microsoft Paint because I was bored that day. So I did this random picture. So yes. I guess what I can do now is I'll shut down the system. And then I'll dismantle it, and so we can have a look at what's inside. Just wait for it to shut down. Okay, it has shut down, so we can now take the thing apart. So now that I have all the screws removed, now I can just take this bottom cover off. I think it's like clipped together. Yeah, it's coming apart now. There we go. So then now we have a perfect view of the motherboard. There's a nice close-up for that. So here we can see that we have the CPU cooler right there. So CPU, that's your Intel Core i3, which is right there. 8 gigs of RAM there, network card. So yes. And as you can tell, the CPU cooler is quite dusty, and I will probably have to replace the thermal paste on the CPU because it's probably gone extremely dry. So I can't really do anything intensive on this thing. So yeah. Oh, and there's this DVD-ROM drive which can actually be slotted into the machine like that. You can see how it goes in actually. It's sort of like a miniature SATA connector, which is kind of similar to the DVD drive on the Dell Optiplex. So that just slots in there. A lot of computers nowadays have these slimline DVD drives, which they're okay in laptops, but for desktops I don't really like them. So yeah, here's the little daughter board for the USBs and that. So yeah, I'm not going to remove the motherboard or the CPU cooler for that matter because I do not want to disturb the thermal paste, which will probably need to be replaced anyway. So yeah, I'll put it back together and then we can test out that it's working okay. So now that the laptop's back together, I can now give you my sort of final verdict on it. So as I said, this is like the mid-range from this particular laptop was actually manufactured in 2013, so a year before that Sony completely discontinued their VAIO line of computers, which is a shame to be honest because they were really nice computers, and because of this Sony VAIOs are pretty rare nowadays, especially some models like the flagship ones. But yeah, these are pretty rare because either they stopped making them due to poor sales or because they were too expensive to manufacture, or maybe both. So yeah, to be honest, I'm quite lucky to have one in my possession. And also, what do I think of it? Well, it actually served me. It actually served me pretty well. I mean, I was daily driving this for about 2 years. So yeah, and especially with all the upgrades, it ran really well. The only reason why I sort of decommissioned it, so to speak, is because I wanted a desktop and something a bit more powerful. So I got my Fujitsu desktop machine, and yeah, I sort of upgraded. But I'm still going to keep this because it means a lot to me. So yeah, that is the Sony VAIO SVE151, and I hope to maybe, give it another lease of life. I mean, I have done by installing Windows 7, but I mean, like, I kind of want to fix it up a little bit, replace the thermal paste and maybe give it a clean out. I mean, who knows, I could probably find another one on eBay for parts and perhaps like change a few things, like replacing this case because, like, as you can see, it's cracked there, and there's like a few scratches on the front, on this part here. You can see there's like a scratch there. Also, this sticker here, this isn't original to the machine. I put this on there because, to give it a bit of customization. But yeah, I also want to sort of, if I can't find anything, I could at least glue these back and probably find another cover which this had on it. So yeah, what a nice laptop. I really like it. So if there's any other computers in my collection that you want me to do an overview on, just pop it down in the comments and I'll make an overview of the computer in question. So yeah, that is the end of the video.